Ian had always believed that the world was too loud, too busy, too fast for anyone to stop and truly care. At 16, he felt disconnected from almost everything: his school, his surroundings, and even the people he lived with. His father often told him, "Giving is the best communication, son. People may not hear your words, but they'll always feel your kindness." Ian would simply nod, say nothing, and go back to his headphones. The city around him buzzed each morning with the same chaos: buses honking, shops opening, and crowds of strangers moving like waves. Everyone seemed to be running somewhere, chasing something. Ian would walk through the market on his way home from college, observing strangers who never looked up from their phones, vendors shouting about fresh deals, and tired workers heading to their evening shifts. Nothing in the world seemed to pause, not even for a second. But inside him, something remained painfully still. It wasn't sadness. It wasn't anger. It was emptiness, like an unplayed song inside a violin, waiting for a bow that never came. One evening, as he walked home, the winter breeze brushed his face with a cold sharpness. The sky was turning orange, the sun melting into the horizon. Ian shoved his hands deeper into his jacket pockets, letting his music drown the noise around him. That's when he noticed something unusual. Near the corner of the market sat an old man beside a small wooden cart, his frail fingers gently arranging bunches of roses. The roses were beautiful, bright red, freshly cut, dewy from the evening air. The man himself looked tired, with silver hair, thin cheeks, and a soft gentleness in his eyes. A cardboard sign hung on the cart, handwritten, £1 per rose, for my wife's treatment. People passed him without even glancing. Some walked around him as if he were part of the pavement. Some looked at the roses but quickly turned away. Others stared at the sign, frowned, and kept walking. Ian slowed his steps unconsciously. He didn't plan to buy anything. He didn't have a reason to stop. And yet, the loneliness on the old man's face felt familiar. Like two hearts quietly recognizing each other. Still, Ian kept walking. 10 steps, 15, 20, but something inside him tightened, softly, painfully, like a knot pulling at his heart. The music in his ears suddenly felt distant, meaningless. After a long breath, Ian turned around. The old man didn't notice him walk back. He was too busy trying to keep the roses from falling off the cart as the wind brushed past. Ian removed his headphones and approached him slowly. "How much for one rose?" he asked. The old man looked up in surprise, blinking as if waking from a long dream. A smile broke on his worn-out face, lighting it up like dawn. "Just £1, beta," he replied in a warm, trembling voice. "Thank you for even asking." Ian pulled a coin from his pocket and placed it gently in the old man's hand. The man's fingers closed around it with a gratitude so deep that Ian felt it like a whisper in his own chest. He handed Ian a rose, fresh, fragrant, delicate. "Bless you," the old man whispered. Ian didn't know what to do with the rose. He just walked away with it, staring at its petals. For the first time in a long time, he felt something inside him move, like a door cracking open, letting in a soft golden light. That night, Ian couldn't sleep. He kept remembering the old man's smile, the way his eyes sparkled despite the cold. He replayed the moment again and again, the gentle hands offering him the rose, the soft gratitude in his voice. He didn't understand why a simple interaction had touched him so deeply. Maybe because he didn't realize how badly he needed to feel needed. The next day after classes, Ian found himself walking toward the market again, this time without his headphones. He wasn't sure if he'd find the old man there, but he hoped he would. And he did. The old man was seated in the same spot, this time shivering lightly under the chilly wind. The cart looked emptier, but his eyes held the same gentle determination. Ian walked to the tea stall nearby. He bought a thermos of hot tea and 2 sandwiches. Then he walked to the old man and placed them beside him. The old man stared at the food as if unsure whether he was allowed to touch it. "For you," Ian said quietly. The old man's eyes filled with tears. He placed a trembling hand on Ian's wrist and whispered, "You have a soft heart, beta. Your parents raised you well." Ian swallowed. Something in his chest ached warmly. People passing by noticed the scene. First, one woman stopped and bought 2 roses. Then a man bought 5. Another woman stopped to ask if the old man needed help carrying his cart. A small ripple had formed, a ripple that Ian's small act of giving had started. The old man earned more that day than he probably had in a week. And Ian, he felt something new. Something he had forgotten existed. The simple joy of giving. He stayed with the old man for an hour, listening to him talk about his roses, his life, the weather, small things that suddenly felt meaningful. Before leaving, Ian promised he would return the next day. And he did, the day after that too. And every day after school. Over time, the old man grew comfortable talking to him. His name was Abdul Rahman. He had sold roses for 30 years. He told Ian stories about when he was young, about how he planted roses with his wife, who had loved them more than anything. One evening, as Ian was closing the cart with him, the old man sat down slowly, sighing as if carrying a heavy truth. "Beta," he said softly, "I need to tell you something." Ian looked up. "My wife passed away many years ago," he whispered. "There is no treatment, no hospital. I just couldn't write that on the board. People don't stop for memories. They stop for emergencies." Ian froze. The world went silent around him. "So why do you sell roses?" he finally asked. "To keep her alive," the old man whispered, touching a rose petal with trembling fingers. "To keep her memory breathing in this world. As long as someone buys a rose, she lives in a small way, in someone's home, in someone's hand, in someone's heart." Ian felt his throat tighten. Tears blurred his vision. He suddenly realized the depth of the man's loneliness. The roses weren't just flowers. They were love preserved in petals. From that day on, Ian made it his little mission to help. He brought warm food on cold days, water on hot days, and sometimes just sat with the man for company. People who once ignored the old man now smiled, stopped, asked questions, and bought roses more frequently. His cart never stayed full for long. Ian discovered something profound, that giving didn't require wealth, or effort, or even words. It only required a heart willing to reach out. One morning, as Ian arrived, he found the old man looking pale and exhausted. His hands trembled more than usual. Ian helped him sit comfortably and stayed by his side the whole evening, handing roses to customers, collecting money, and arranging the cart. For the first time, Ian realized he wasn't helping an old man. He was helping a friend. A grandfather he never had. A piece of his heart he didn't know was missing. On the old man's birthday, which Ian had learned from one of his stories, Ian decided to do something special. He had secretly taken a photo of the old man smiling beautifully beside his roses. He printed it in a beautiful frame. As he approached the cart, the old man looked up. "Beta," he smiled, "you're early today." Ian placed the wrapped frame in his hands. "This is for you," he said quietly. The old man unwrapped it slowly. When he saw the picture, his breath hitched. His eyes filled with tears that slipped down his cheeks silently. He held the frame gently against his heart and whispered, no one has ever done something like this for me." Ian's eyes glistened. The old man placed a hand on his cheek and said, with a voice that carried decades of love and loss, "You communicate better than words, Beta. You have given me what I thought I had lost." Ian felt his heart expand like it had finally learned how to beat properly. He understood, fully and deeply. Giving is the best communication. Giving from the heart can speak louder than any language. Giving can heal two souls at once, the one who gives and the one who receives. From that day, Ian visited him not out of duty, but out of love. The cart of roses became a place of warmth in the cold rush of the city. The old man became a part of his life, his evenings, his laughter. And the man's roses, those delicate, beautiful, living memories, continued to bloom in many hearts. But they bloomed the brightest in the heart of the boy, who learned that kindness doesn't need noise, words, or recognition. It only needs a heart that is willing to give. Dash dash dash.